However, I want to make sure that you don't think of deletions, generalizations, and distortions only in a psychotherapeutic or a problematic context. So not all of them are bad. Some of them actually do have useful applications. For instance, when someone says, everything I do will be perfect. So yes, sometimes that might be an indication of super high ego, but that generalization might create the effect of a high level of self-confidence. Someone with a distortion like, every time I've imagined myself on stage, I feel really powerful. Now, that's something that we don't necessarily want to take away. What we do want to figure out is there a problem being created as a result of certain deletions, distortions, and generalizations? So those that have useful applications, I'll want to model. Those things that don't have useful applications, I'll want to model for the purposes of helping to find a new and more effective model. So here's how we might use the meta model. First of all, where deletions are concerned, I want to gather information and I want to specify details. Where generalizations are concerned, I want to explore counterexamples by figuring out whether examples of this had taken place in some other context, or maybe whatever it is that they said, all men are scum, that there could be someone who is male who doesn't fit that quality. So what we want to do is also ask a deeper question. What does the person avoid by using this generalization? And when someone says all men are scum, we might find that the person is avoiding being hurt by men. That might be a case to further explore, because then you figure out what the distortion pattern really is. So in the distortion, we want to find out the evolution of the belief or the equivalence. So someone may say, all men are scum, and as you explore what do you mean by scum, you're gathering details. But when you say, are you sure that all men are scum? Is there any man that has not been scum before? And that person may flat out say no, or that person may say yes, so and so. In which case, you can either create a counterexample for that person to have a reference point for, to shift their belief patterns, or you might want to explore more of the distortion pattern. So if the person says, yeah, all men are scum, no exceptions, and you go, where did you get this from? How did you come to believe this? And what are you afraid of men for? Or why are you so angry about men? And this will come to the distortion element, where the person might say, well, my dad was a scumbag, for instance, or every man I've dated has been scum. And when you find out how a person actually comes to believe or think in this particular way, it becomes easier for you to go, oh, okay, so that's how you develop this. And once you reach that point, it becomes so much easier as an objective bystander to take a look at the issue from a different perspective and go, yeah, of course all the people whom you dated were scum because you had the wrong selection criteria. There are always other reasons for such a situation occurring, and you could go through an entire process, meta-modeling, and coming up with better solutions depending on how you use it. So there is a flip side to the meta-model, which we'll explore in a little while. So here are some typical mistakes with a meta-model. Typically, people might sound rude. They call them meta-monsters instead of meta-modelers because they're not elegant in asking the question. So you need to build rapport, and you need to know what to ask about in the first place. So this takes a little bit of getting used to. Don't just treat any chart that some person gives to you as the be-all and end-all of meta-modeling, okay? And a lot of people end up stuck because they're unable to use the meta-model in the appropriate direction. So there is a tendency for people to argue their own ground by pushing responsibility away from them, and therefore the meta model doesn't really work. You need to use the meta model with some level of flexibility. So here's what I suggest. Don't use the meta model to solve a problem. Instead, use it to investigate patterns of behavior, patterns of beliefs and values, and so on. And don't get stuck in the content, because the moment someone starts talking about, when they were 8 years old and 11 years old, the content can be useful in certain situations, but If you get caught in the content, there's a tendency for you to be emotionally latched on to that content. So that may prevent you from being effective in asking the right questions. So just some pointers for you as you're going through your meta modeling practice. So let's take a look at this situation. Is this a bad case of my drawing again? No, this is just a representation of, first of all, the problem space. A lot of people view problems like a frog in the well. You take a look at just this small little segment and you focus in on it, and that becomes your entire universe. And because it's so limited, you create boundaries from actually seeing what we call the solution space, where there are vast opportunities for change and personal choice. And these are often missed without any kind of awareness. I mean, if someone believes that the world is at an end simply because someone stole his wallet, I mean, come on. There's definitely a lot more to look at that situation. For something as simple as a wallet, that could be easily solved. But what if we lost a loved one, someone whom we've known for 20 or 30 years, and that person passes on? Now this still is a problem space. We're focusing on it, we're focusing on what we've lost, but the solution space is often missed out without very much awareness. So clarification, challenging, pointing out choices do help the individual to identify a greater sense of what else is possible out there in the world. This, however, may not necessarily be the case in patterns of excellence. This specific idea is, I would attach this specifically to problems. I mean, people who say that, someone made me angry, or, I feel very depressed, these type of problems. But you can easily find people who are operating at a level of excellence where they limit their choices deliberately because they don't want to have procrastination or perfectionism. So what they do is they limit what they have to do by constricting their solutions in order to move in that direction specifically. So these are things that we'll explore as we go along in our modeling journey. So let's take a look at cause and outcome. These two things have been mentioned to death in any kind of problem-solving manual, but here's how the meta model actually should work. You figure out what the causes are. You figure out what the causes are, and you specify the problem space. Explore what the problem is. Identify what it is, what's going on, uncover the deletions and the missing structures and assumptions and belief patterns behind that. Up to a certain point, you'll have a clearer idea of the problem space, and that's where you begin to specify and explore the solution space. And the reason why the arrows are, you're asking questions from them as the cause and drawing out the deletions and missing structures. And when you're uncovering the solution space, you want to have the outcome associated inside of them. So that it's no longer just an external solution that, okay, sure, you can get rid of depression by taking drugs, but that's not going to help you for the long term, right? So you want to infuse the solution inside of them, and you'll definitely uncover certain rule boundaries. For instance, when you say one of the solutions to men being all scum could be to find out whether you'll be able to meet other types of men. And this person might just say, I don't even feel comfortable meeting men. And in such a situation, we will explore the discomfort as another nested element within the problem space. And until you uncover enough about the problem space, it's no point going to the solution space because it's going to be premature. So as you're uncovering all of these possibilities and intended outcomes, you can ask, so what do you want instead? What exactly is your outcome? How do you know you're getting there? So these are a set of questions which are outcome-oriented, and we'll talk a little bit more about outcome language patterns in a different video. So I hope this has been useful to at least introduce you to the meta model so that you know what it's about, so that you know that it's not just a stoic set of questions where you ask in a dogmatic fashion and you continue to go, so what does this do specifically, and piss everybody off. What you really want to do is to be able to explore the problem, explore the evolution of how that problem came to be, and then picture a potential solution and kind of nudge the person in that direction which he or she chooses so that they have a better quality of life. So this is Stuart from worldofnlp.com. For more information about NLP, just head down and feel free to ask me any questions that you like about neuro linguistic programming. Thank you.